You're live.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to the Dewey Beach Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Appreciate you attending. I'd like to welcome both Iris and Manny to their first Budget and Finance Committee meetings. Welcome and thank you for volunteering for the committee. We appreciate that. With that, let me go ahead and convene the actual start of the meeting, which now we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. So if people will stand, please.
Jamie.
Ready? I pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
to
to
the
the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Okay, so let me do a roll call. If we can start at people at the Life Saving Station.
So I'll start. Bill Super, Town Manager.
Okay,
Zeke Rogowski, member.
Paul Bauer, liaison for the committee.
Dominic Prestipino, member.
Shanna Hall, staff.
is Kate there as well as the moderator?
Sorry. Kate Banaszak, moderator.
Okay, thank you. Iris,
Iris Curtis, member.
thank you. Manny,
Manuel Bramau, member.
Dan Hirschfeld, member and chair, I guess. So thank you all. First thing I'd like to do is make sure that you all had a copy of the agenda and see if I can't get an adoption for today's agenda. Any comments or questions before I call for a motion to adopt the agenda? Okay, if none, can I get a motion to adopt today's agenda?
Move to adopt the agenda for today.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move forward then with the agenda. First item on the agenda is the approval of the November 14th, 2023 minutes. They were distributed and posted. Any questions, comments, or corrections to those minutes? Okay, no comments, questions. Can I get a motion to adopt the November 14th, 2023 minutes?
Move that you adopt the November minutes.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any opposed? Okay,
I have to abstain. I wasn't part of that.
Okay. Understood. Okay, first item on the agenda is the discussion of the current financial results. And Sheena or Bill, will you be presenting those?
So if you're asking about the December financials, everybody should have gotten a copy of those. They are actually posted on the webpage. Sheena's done a nice job putting those together, and I'll have her just go over really quick some of the highlights of the December financials.
We're actually, due to the budget amendment that was passed in December, and we lowered some of our revenue streams, and raised a couple others. We were able to, we've met the reduced accommodations tax revenue goal. Our building permits has topped 700,000 in January. It won't show in the December numbers, but so that has come in much stronger than we had expected. Expenses, as predicted, would leveled off, and we're just coasting through and trying to save as much money as we can for the end of the year.
So Sheena, if I could also comment that we may make transfer tax. It looks like it's going to be very close, right, Sheena?
Yes.
What we expected for this fiscal year. We are not going to make hotel. And as Sheena said, we've adjusted for hotel and accommodation during our last commissioners meeting. And it's the first time we made an amendment to the budget in the 3 years that I've been here. And that recommendation was done by our auditors. That was one of the findings that they had. They said, instead of going through the whole year and coming out with a surplus of maybe so much at the end, go as we go through, maybe twice a year, or when Sheena would recommend it to the commissioners, do an amendment to the budget to even things out. So we're parking this year, we thought we were going to be at 1.5, we were actually at 1.6 approximately. So we were at 1.7, we were able to take that money and even out our budget where we may have overspent on some overtime for our police officers during our busy summer weekends. We had to pay some of them overtime. So is there any questions about how we did that amendment to the current budget? We are going to look again in February to see if we have to do another amendment to the budget. It's worked well for us so far, and again, that was our first shot at it.
Amendments are only done if you have a large decrease in revenue or a large increase in expenses. If you just have a lot of extra money coming in that you're not spending, you don't touch it.
What's the definition of large?
It depends on what the town feels.
It'd be up to the commissioners. We would make a recommendation that we had an expenditure, as I said before, with overtime by $55,000. And we would ask the commissioners, is that enough? Do you feel we need to make an amendment to the budget? If they do, then she would come back and make an amendment to the budget.
It is not recommended that you go line item per line item.
That was my next question. Is it
Yeah.
defined by every single one of these things on 12 different pages, or is it a broad covering?
I talked with a finance director of a larger town in Maryland, and she said it's basically a gut feeling. You know, you're seeing that your revenues are above, and because you have situations like this summer where we had extra overtime, hey, we can change it to show, you know, we couldn't predict the extra overtime, but by doing the amendment, we show that we've seen it, we've accepted it, and we know it happened.
Should there be something where we say there is a defined amount as what is large?
Unlike, there's no set standard that government finance suggests. They said you just have to go with either a decrease in revenues or a large increase in expenses. I try to go with, if it's, you know, if it's looking like, you know, it's going to go off the charts 10, 15, 20%, I want to do an amendment, but we're not doing them until December because then all of our revenue streams are in.
Okay, no, I just.
So I have
What pornography is, but there's no real definition of pornography.
Right.
What is a large amount of money versus we got a gut feeling of what it is?
Right. It goes from person to person, town to town.
As long as you guys have a good handle on it, I'm just curious if there is here's where we step over the line from medium to large. Okay,
Cool. I agree with that, Lodge. I mean, 10 to 20% somewhere. I mean, we can pick a number to say 15. It looks like it's 15. I mean, that's our guidance. If you see something that's tracking at 15% under, you know.
We'll
then-
make a suggestion to the
Right.
commissioners, and the commissioners will
Right.
tell us if they want us to make the amendment to the budget.
Yeah.
cool.
So I'm just trying to learn. This is all new to me. So I'm just curious. I opened up the long one with all the budgets from starting with fiscal year 2022. And then I see a column for fiscal year 2024 budget. And then I see a column for 12/15/23 amendment. Is that what you're making reference to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there's a lot of item numbers that were changed. Some aren't that significant of a change. So I'm just curious, actually. It's just, it seems like there are a fair amount of items that were changed.
There was about 20 items. We hit the major revenue streams, and there was a few smaller revenue streams that were altered, but that was just because I wanted to get to a zero net change.
And the actual year to date for 2024, there's still a couple of months left. Is that what it is or not?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
April
So
1st.
like on a couple of these items, you're you've amended it and you've gone up, but the actual is already there. So I'm curious how that works, if you still got more coming in February.
The revenue streams, as long as they go up, we don't have to alter them. It's basically, we don't have to do an amendment. It's if they go down. And some of our expenses have hit the amendment. And at the end of February, I may say, hey, we need to do another one, or suggest it to the commissioners. It's right now, it's all just a learning adventure for all of us.
Got it.
I think the question on the revenue is that your parking revenue, for instance, is done for the year. That's why you're not going to see any more, because we're not charging for parking in the off season.
Correct.
Other revenues will continue, hotel tax, accommodations tax, if people are staying in the hotels during the final 3 months of the year, the budget year.
Correct.
Bill, Sheena, anything else to point out on the actual results through December?
Not for me, sir.
No, again, we're not hitting the numbers we have in the past in transfer tax because the economy is pretty stagnant right now and there's high interest rates compared to the first 2 years that I was here, 21 and 22, where we moved a lot of property here in town, and some of that was contributed to the condominiums being sold at the Hyatt.
Right. Okay. Any other questions on the current financials?
One of the questions I asked at the last meeting, and I don't know if you guys were able to get an answer, but using the interest on our beach tax, like roughly $60,000, if we have $6 million sitting in a fund that we really can't touch unless we need to replenish the beach, worst case scenario is we're making $60,000 off that $6 million. Are we able to use that $60,000 for something, or do we have to roll it? Because it's not money that was given to the beach tax. It was money that we made off the beach tax. So I didn't know if you guys found out any information on that.
I'm hesitant to, I couldn't see anything that said we can or we can't. However, I was not here when that fund was set up, so I don't know what the intention was. And I know that's a very, it's a topic that's very close to many residents' hearts. And they may not want us to mess with it.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't be messing with the principal.
Right.
I mean, that's by law. We can't do that. We have to
Right.
go to the state, and it'd be like trying to tie a railroad tie into a bow. It'd be easier than asking us, the state, to give us any leniency on using that money for anything other than beach. But the interest we get off of it was not money that we had to put forth. It's money that we're recognizing from those adventures, investments.
Most of it is in Brown Advisory.
Right. So, yeah, but Zeke is just asking if you can use them for general funds.
Yeah.
I would ask the
That's probably a Fred
commissioners.
question.
Like I said, I mean, it's not going to solve all the problems, but if you have 60 grand, that's, Memorial Day weekend cops, or that's Labor Day weekend cops when you have to go out and do the extra stuff, 4th of July. If we can, great. If we're not, hey, at least we ask the question.
So there was discussion about moving some of the money that's in Brown Advisory, just some discussion, into what they would call a cash fund, which would be interest, what you're talking about. Is it Dominic with Brown Advisory? He said right now that would look good because the interest rates are much higher now. But he said in the long term, those are going to settle back down and you're better off having it invested than you are in just the interest. Now, some of it isn't in Brown Advisory. Some of it is, a portion of it is sitting over at Fulton Bank.
There's about 600,000 of the beach replenishment.
And-
Fulton.
Sheena, correct me, are we doing that as part of our sweep?
It's not a,
When a sweep is the interest that you're talking about.
it's not a sweep. I've been corrected by Fulton. It's more of a, they base the interest off of all of it. They don't actually sweep it at night as a traditional sweep.
So that 600,000 that's sitting there as part of the beach replenishment fund is part of the interest that we're making on the $235,000?
It would be making its own interest and will be sitting in its own account.
Okay.
And that's what we're asking the commissioners, if they could give us some guidance on if that interest can be used for general purposes, general funds.
It's probably a legal question. What does, you know, what does our law say? And that's really what it is. I mean, I want to get Fred's advice on it.
Well, and then also, if we're talking about beach replenishment, I know DENREC's meeting tonight to discuss local communities taking on a bigger role in funding the beach replenishment. So that money might get tied up pretty quick, depending on, you know, what they decide to do. Because I guess in like New Jersey, local communities are paying a lot more out of pocket than we are in Delaware, and it was brought to their attention, I guess. But who knows how that'll go.
So DENREC is proposing possibly the town's putting up a portion for the beach replenishment that is done.
Yeah, their meeting's tonight, actually, on the 18th, so I thought it was funny that they're going to the same meeting tonight.
So are there any other questions reference the current December financials from any of the committee members?
If not, then let's move on to item number 2, which is the discuss and possible vote to provide recommendations to the town council regarding the draft FY 2025 budget. So back, Bill and Sheena, back to you all on the budget.
Okay, I was, this being the first draft, as was pointed out, there is some red numbers down at the bottom. We wanted to see exactly what, based on what the department heads want and what is needed to run this town at a safe and comfortable level for everyone, what the cost would be. It was proposed at the last commissioners meeting to raise some parking fees, and Commissioner Persinger suggested, and rightly so, that get pushed off till we see where we are. I did put together the proposed fee increases, and that was one of the attachments for y'all.
Sheena, I apologize for interrupting. Just the budget does not include any of those fee adjustments, right? This is before any fee adjustments in that schedule?
Correct, sir.
Okay, got it.
Because they have not been suggested or approved, they are not included.
Okay.
It was suggested, your committee suggested raising the parking meters rate. You would also, if the meters are raised, then the daily and the 3-day and 8-day kind of need to raise also. Just if it'll be cheaper to do the one, and we'll end up losing money based on that. The other thing is, depending on the daily, last year we saw an increase in the number of the $250 parking hang tags for the outside people, because if a Lewis or Rehoboth resident comes to town doing 10 days, 11 days out of the summer, it's cheaper to buy a hang tag. So I've suggested raising the hang tags for all three. The property owners has not raised since 2012. The business owners raised and the 250 raised in, I think, 2020 with Scott Koenig. Based on this past year's amount of permits and everything, I put together just raising the property owners $25, the business owners $25, the outside people $30, the 8-day permit $10, same with the 3-day, the daily $5, and the meters $1, and it ends up being about $217,000.
Sheena, just to correct you, so on the outside hang tag, you actually did $50 from $250 to $300.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It was at the last commissioners meeting, they agreed to get rid of Tuesday and Wednesday free parking. And our parking enforcement supervisor had estimated, based on the amount of parking spaces we have and everything, roughly $223,000 increase from that.
And that was a recommendation by this committee
Yes.
to the commissioners on Tuesday and Wednesdays.
Next, if we raise the cost of the permits and everything, we really need to raise the cost of the ticket, because you don't want it to be cheaper to get a ticket than to get the permit. So we raised the parking ticket we're suggesting raising it by $15 to $45. That would bring in roughly another $100,000 based on the amount of tickets this year.
Hey, can I just make a comment about that? So some of the things I've heard was you can park in Dewey and not buy any type of parking permit or go to Park Mobile and get a fine for $30, or you can go to Dewey and park a daily pass and buy a daily pass for $25. So not a lot, but people think sometimes that it's worth taking the chance to just see if you would get a ticket for $30, or you may not have to pay anything if you don't get a ticket. So I think the increase in the ticket is valid.
Those three items come to roughly $540,000.
That also includes all the commercial, the licenses as well, right?
No, sir. I did, just the parking alone is roughly $540,000. The licensing was something I threw in just as due to last year it being brought up, we hadn't raised it in 12 years. There was a large increase to the businesses. Most towns review their fees yearly. And if we did a 3% raise, it's not going to be felt as much as a 28% raise. The only one that was not raised by 3% was the food and beverage seat. That was raised 50% from $8 to $12. Just these few changes is roughly $42,000. But this was just an extra just to try to get ahead of us getting into the same situation we were last year.
Was there a noticeable increase, decrease, or it stayed the same when these prices were increased? Usually the first year you see it, people like the hang tags. They're like, well, crap, I bought a hang tag last year. I can't believe it went up, but I still need one. I'll get it. But I'm not getting one next year, or I'll just suck it up as part of the living process. I didn't know if there's an appreciable increase, decrease, or no difference whatsoever.
Not really much difference.
Okay.
Everybody just said, okay, that's what it is. I got to do business.
Okay.
It's, I guess what you're saying is if we raised something 20%, did we get a 20% increase in revenue?
Only if the sky's falling.
Logical question there.
I just was curious, like if with the first time we raised the hang tags for the people and they went, oh, I didn't realize it, but I'm already standing here. I'll pay the ticket this year, but I'm not going to do it next year. I'll just do seasonal to daily, or daily to weekly or whatever.
Mhm.
But if there's no perception really about any big change, that's not a big deal. So
Yeah,
The cost
most
of doing
of the
business.
business owners were like, I got to do it.
But that point is a real point. It just
Well, if you raise everything together, then it doesn't, the cost doesn't work out, right? So if all the other prices go up and the hang tag is still cheaper than the regular.
Correct.
Correct. If they end up if everything goes up except the hang tags and they keep buying hang tags, the revenue from that will go up, but there will be a decrease. We saw a decrease in the meters this year. And the daily went up over the prior year, but the percentage wasn't as much as
Yeah, well, how much did it go down?
the daily went up.
Daily went up, okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't as much as the hang tag, the
meters.
percentage of items sold.
But hang tags went up, but meters dropped, right?
Hang tags did not go up last year.
But it's the daily. So people are using the Park Mobile and we're paying whatever it is, 11%. So it's got to go up by a significant amount to be able to offset the meters where we don't have any administrative cost on it.
Well, this year we're going to just one zone, just the 4012.
So I've tried to make parking as easy as possible for folks. Instead of having a 2008, a 20010, we're just going to have one zone for the whole town. So if you pull up and you have Park Mobile, you don't have to worry about what zone you're parking in. It's going to be the same in town anywhere. And if you buy a hang tag, we did this last year. You know, in the past, if you had a hang tag, you couldn't park on Dagsworthy Street on the Bay side, on the side where the liquor store is, because that was only metered parking. You had to go to the kiosk, or you had to do a Park Mobile. We allowed, if you had a hang tag, you could park there. And the way I look at it, we want to make it as easy as possible for people. The only place you can't use a hang tag, and it says it on the hang tag, is at a coin metered spot. We only had 40 of those coin meter spots last year, and I'm going to slowly do away with those. We will keep some. We will keep them at the golf course. We'll keep them at Jeremiah's. We'll keep them over by Gary's. There's going to be, but we're slowly going to do away. Dickinson Street last year on the Bayside, we did away with those. And we filled all those spots up with Park Mobile, and there weren't any issues with them. The kiosks on that street continuously broke down. Why on Dickinson Street? On the Bayside, because the wind would come off the bay and it would get inside that system, and it didn't matter what we did to try to protect it. The sand would get inside the system itself and just tear it apart. We've done away with that kiosk. Everything on Dickinson Street on the Bayside now is Park Mobile or hang tag. So we're just trying to make it as simple as
I
possible.
think that's a good idea. So I guess what we have to do, Dan, is vote on making recommendations on the proposals that the commissioners will review. So we got what, option 1, 2, and 3?
No, this is just, all I did was just put together numbers, and what my suggestions are. Total, it's roughly $580,000. If you take out the increase of the business licenses, it's roughly $540,000.
And the one comment or the topic for conversation would be, this includes or assumes that you go from $3 for the meters to $4 per hour. And there was discussion within this group last time about $3.50 versus $4.
That would take away roughly $32,000.
So the committee's recommendations from originally are changed, not 350, choice is 4.
Y'all can recommend whatever you want.
Right,
Just
yeah.
give me data.
But I think
Your
what
number-
the committee needs to do is make a recommendation. If we think it's $3, we think it's $3.01, it doesn't matter. A committee will make a recommendation and the commissioners are gonna vote on it, right?
I thought we did recommend 350.
I know,
if I'm-
we did.
Yeah,
We did.
okay.
You did. So you recommended that. That was suggested to the commissioners at the December meeting. Commissioner Persinger said he would rather have a workshop and discuss this, which we do have scheduled tomorrow as part of our regular commissioners meeting for January. But the only one he did, and the commissioners did pass, was the Tuesday, Wednesday, which this committee suggested because the chamber had to put that out in their book.
Yeah.
Right.
So they could get printed. But everything else that you suggested
Right.
is coming up tomorrow.
Right. But
on
not
the
on
workshop.
this spreadsheet, though.
The only thing that's different is the, from 3 to 4 instead of 3 to 350,
Got it.
which is roughly $32,000.
So one of the questions for the committee is, what do we want to recommend? Do we want to recommend 350 or do we want to recommend 4 or a different number?
I just have a general question again, because I'm new at this. So you're showing the budget for 2025 as negative 671,000?
It's actually, yes, but the next column over from that says general fund, and it's 500 and some thousand. That is the amount we're trying to replace, because the last column comes from grants and other funds. So we're looking at the 500 and something thousand.
So the proposals would cover it, and hopefully we break even for the year.
Yes, sir.
Right. Balanced budget.
Got it.
That's what we're striving for.
And Bill and Sheena, for the various departments that submitted their request, any comments that you have on those? Do you think they're reasonable? Do you think there's some that we could scale back?
So our largest request is from the police department this year. And one of those requests is for what they call a CAD system. It's an automated system that our dispatchers would use. It's a very expensive system. When I say that, it's between $30,000 and $40,000 investment. But what that does is when a call comes in, it's logged into a computer. When the dispatcher sends a car, it's logged into the computer. It's all captured and saved. So when we get FOIA'd or we have to go to court, it's right there and it can be brought out and given to the attorney's office. Right now we operate, when you call into the town hall, it actually goes into a book called an ERC book. And this is just a black binder that's got ERCs in it. And they write down the information in that. And those books are then stored in a closet. It's not a good way to do business. We need to move into the future and we need to start doing things the right way. And it's a good way for us to provide public safety, and it's a good way for us to provide some type of documentation for our police officers when they were dispatched, what they were dispatched to. It's all brought up on the CAD system. So that's one of the large of it. The other thing is what the chief has done this year. She's increased the number of grants we're getting, and that's what the difference that Sheena was explaining there at the end that the committee member asked about. A good example of that is 2 electric Ford trucks. She put in a grant for those in the town, and she did the write-up, and the town received those. So she is saving money that way also. We are also promoting folks in the police department. We're promoting 4 individuals to corporal, and we're promoting 2 individuals to a staff corporal position this year. And if we want to keep these folks in the town of Dewey Beach, and we want to keep them from leaving and going to other agencies that are paying more, we have to promote them to salaries that are comparable with Rehoboth and Lewis. So I think when you look at our budget, some of the biggest increases are in police and are in our police salaries. But if we don't do that, we are going to lose those officers.
Makes sense.
And that CAD system, I assume, helps with the accountability and actually protects us a little bit from some liability if we have to go to court with these issues.
It does.
Yeah. Any other comments from the committee members with regard to the budget here or the assumptions in the budgets?
Could I make another comment? So Todd Fritchman, our beach patrol captain for 28 years, got up at the commissioners meeting in December and said we were losing some lifeguards to other patrols. Bethany Beach starts off at $18.25 an hour. That's how much our lieutenants were making last year. So he did ask for a $1 increase for the new rookies coming in from $16 to $17. That is also in this budget.
I think when we discussed the $3.50, $4, $3, keep everything the same, and you guys had May 1st, May 15th, October, November, September, Labor Day. I think we pretty much hit that up as the group to do the $3.50, and then I believe it was 15 days past Labor Day. Did we do an extension?
I think we passed on those for now. I think.
That's not that. We didn't recommend that.
Okay, I'm comfortable with what we recommended, but to pass along with the $3.50 and the dates that we did from last time. So that's just me.
What is the number that additional revenue that we're trying to reach 5
There was,
after grants?
after grants and all, there was an adjustment that I made. I had, based on the way I do the budgeting, the prep and everything.
566.4.
Yep.
Is that what the number?
The adjustment is, there was something I had put in there twice. So it's really 511,000 that we're trying to find.
511, okay.
And
And these
if,
recommendations that we have,
with these recommendations, if you take it down to the 350 instead of 4, and even without the licensing changes, you get 509,380. So you're about $2,000 off.
So budget, we need to find 511.
Yes, sir.
And we're basically there at 350 per hour.
Yes, sir.
And how we've gapped it, where was the revenue numbers again, just so I can take this into the workshop?
Okay. The total on this sheet is 583,467. The the difference for the 50 cents is 31,500. And the licensing was 42,587. So if you subtract that and the 50-cent difference, you're down to 509,380.
All right, I'm trying to follow along here. So if we make $3.50 instead of 3, we come up with 31 grand of the 511.
Yes.
Okay, what's the next one down?
Okay. The rest of your Tuesday and Wednesday is 223,380.
All right, 223,380. And that's for
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, okay.
The parking tickets is 100,500.
Paul, does this help?
That's the increase of parking tickets.
Yeah, right there.
45.
Okay, I'll just take that sheet there.
Yeah, and the only thing you need to change is this line here, $3.
It would be 3150 instead of 63,000.
Got it, okay.
And that total, including the licensing, is down here at 583. So you take
It's
31,000.
really 511.
We're trying
No,
to
we're
get
looking-
511. This would,
We come up with 583 doing this.
yeah.
Okay.
If you take
583.
out the 31, you're down to 552.
So if we do 350 instead of 4, we've covered
Yes,
the
sir.
budget is, okay. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yes, sir.
And I think you'll find Rehoboth and Bethany will be studying whether they should raise their parking. And I'd like to remind everybody, our accommodations tax here in Dewey Beach, which is basically our rental tax, is at 3%, which Lewis, Bethany, and Rehoboth are all at 5, 6, and 7. So we have to find other ways. We're not able to raise the rental tax. That's a charter change, a referendum change that would have to take place. So we're not able to raise revenue that way. So we have to look at other ways to raise revenue. And I think Sheena's done a good job presenting options. Your committee looked at them last time you met. You made your suggestions. Tuesday and Wednesday is already passed. And now we're asking you to look at the other ones that you suggested before. You've looked at them again. Sheena's spelled out how much money we're going to get, and it's getting us where we need to be.
Yep, it's like we got to figure it out.
And Bill, the rate of the 350, how's that compare to the other towns?
Right now, the other towns are at $3.
$3, okay.
They are at $3. But again, their rental tax is higher. They have a property tax, a town property tax. We don't have those options. You know, what the town can raise are the fees and parking. When I say the town, the commissioners, based on our recommendations from this committee and from Sheena, can raise these other items that we're talking about tonight.
And those towns have a lot more parking spaces to begin with too. Yeah, ours are more limited.
How many-
They may raise
What's
theirs.
the
I don't know if they've passed their budgets yet, have they?
No.
They're working on their budgets now. So for example, Rehoboth is
I know.
raising their fines.
Yeah.
Lewis.
Yeah. That's it.
So Rehoboth's raising their fines for parking on the wrong side of the street from $15 to $45.
Wow.
You know, they're doing some things like that.
So Bill, I think that 30-minute parking they have, it's $15 as a fine, which is cheaper than parking in a meter. So that's why people do that.
Yeah.
Other discussions, questions? All right, well, let me ask, Kate, do we have any public comment? Anyone out there that would like to make, or anyone present would have a public comment on the proposed budget?
No.
No? Okay. Then I ask the committee if we could have a motion. Well, and let me ask a question. we recommending 350 or are we recommending a different number?
Zeke personally I would like the 350. I think I don't want to do a sticker shock factor of 4. If somebody comes for the whole day, I don't know. I just think after what we discussed the last time, 350 is where I'm comfortable for starting. I mean, if the commissioners reject it, we go back and look at it again, but it's not like it's a surprise that we haven't recommended it. That's just my input.
I agree.
You agree? I believe, we recommended 350 before. In my opinion, it still covers the deficit that we need. It allows for Bill and team to have, basically their wish list as they put the budget forward. So I'm comfortable with 350. And I think, if we need to, we can go to a different number later if we find the revenues aren't there. So I'm comfortable with 350. Manny or Iris, any comments?
I'm comfortable with 350.
And as well.
You are, okay. Well, having said that, then can I get a motion to provide the recommendation to the town council regarding the adopting the draft budget that we see here with the adjustment of the daily parking to $3.50 versus $4?
What, sir, I just got to ask, what about the rest of them? Are you recommending the rest of
Well, the motion's got to be made by someone else though.
No, I'm asking,
You're asking whether it includes the other proposed increases as on your schedule.
yes, sir.
I'm comfortable personally with the others, except for the 3 going to 4. I'm comfortable with the other increases.
I'm with Dan. I think Sheena did a good job. Bill did a good job explaining it, and a 350 for me. So, Dominic?
I'm fine with it as well.
I'm good with it.
Someone's
Iris?
got-
Okay, then I'm back to still need a motion then to approve recommending to the town council the draft 2025 budget with the adjustment of 350 for the fee schedule versus $4 with the other proposed fees as presented.
If you're asking a Polish guy to try to remember exactly what you just said, I'm going to say what you just said, I propose that we do as a committee to recommend to the council.
I've done that before.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
The
Second.
Italian guy seconds, the Polish
There we
guy.
go. Us Europeans got to stick together, so.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right,
Unanimous.
here we go.
Guys and girls. And thank you, Sheena.
Absolutely. So any other agenda items, and that really covers it. And we have the committee member comments as the next, if there are any comments that people would like to make in general. The one thing, Bill, still on my list, just because I'm up on Chesapeake Street, is if we ever get any clarity with regard to the speed cameras. Just when I was there a couple of weeks ago, just the off season, it's just crazy the speed that those cars are going. And it's not only that, but it's the commercial vehicles going between Dewey and Rehoboth as well, which ticks me off and just so unsafe.
So on the speed cameras, myself and Commissioner Bauer met with somebody from DelDOT yesterday. Commissioner Bauer had set the meeting up. The regulations for the speed cameras have not been through the legislature yet. They're still trying to work out, they think they have a vendor, but they're trying to work out some of the particulars of the speed camera, like the certification. There has to be a traffic study done. So the short answer is no, the speed cameras are not in the near future. They could be further off, and I'll let Commissioner Bauer speak to that if he'd like. But I would ask that you email our police chief. Her email address is on our town webpage, and I will email her tonight also and ask her to have her folks increase the speed enforcement by running radar down there on King Charles between Chesapeake and probably Chicago Street.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I have one
Okay.
more question because again, I'm new to this. I'm just curious about I know that they're going to be redoing the town hall center. And I see in here that we got $1 million for 2024. Has that been spent? Is it going to be spent before the end of the budget year?
No, so the town hall, the schedule, and I'll be briefing this tomorrow to the commissioners. We expect the town hall to be out to bid sometime around May 1st or to May 10th. We expect it to be out for bid for 30 days. Then we will get the bids back in another probably 10 days or so to look at the bids, and then we will present them to the commissioners, probably at the June meeting. And then we will wait until September 15th to break ground on the building there where the parking office is on Route 1. So the $1 million that is there, that may start to be, some of it may be spent in this fiscal year, but
It was just in case, that was what we were projecting in case things moved quicker.
they're not going to move quicker. It's just to try to start the new town hall in May and break ground in May, and then start to have all the construction equipment. There's pile driving that needs to be done. And we must stop by town code the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend, I believe at 5 o'clock. So my opinion was we didn't want to start that process in the middle of the summer. It'd be better if we waited till September 15th and then started the process with the new town hall.
So my question is, I know that there was 1 million for 2024, and even in the amended section, you're still putting 1 million in there for 2024. It sounds from you that that's not going to get spent. So I'm just questioning why that's there.
Yeah, so as Sheena said, originally we thought we might get the bid out sometime in March and start work in April. But right now we're still waiting for permitting from DelDOT, the Fire Marshal's Office, Water Conservation of DENREC. So even though it's $1 million sitting there, and Sheena put it there in case we started early, we're really bumping off till September. I hope that answers your question.
And that's part of the grant that we got from the state of Delaware, so it's not affecting our revenue stream or our bottom line.
We received
Right,
a
it doesn't show in the actual, and it probably won't. But is this then for 2025, is the 2 million accurate?
It depends. It's a guesstimate. However, all the money, the majority of the money for the town hall is already received and sitting in a bank account. So it will not affect our bottom line if we use more of it, go above it this year.
So we have a $3 million grant from the state. We have $2.3 million committed by the town. And then we have $1 million that'll be coming from the Sussex County paramedics, from the county for the paramedic section, for a total of $6.3 million. It's estimated that the building will cost 7.2. So we are short $900,000, but we're figuring 15 to 18 months to build the first part of the building.
And I think the commissioners are thinking about even some fundraising with some selling bricks, commemorative bricks as well, right?
Correct.
But all I'm saying is, we're trying to cover that red, that 511,000 or whatever it is. But is that already being impacted by the 2 million that's in the 2025 budget or not?
No,
That's what's
the anything for the town hall building is in the far right-hand column. That is all money that we have already allocated. It has, no matter how much we bring in or how much we spend, will not affect that.
So it doesn't affect the 7.3 million total expenses excludes the 2 million.
Are you local, sir? Where I could maybe sit down and talk with you and explain this spreadsheet?
Like I say, I'm a new member to the committee. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm not local, unfortunately, but I do go down to Dewey quite a bit. I'll probably be down there in February.
Okay, the 7.9 includes it. And then you have the next column, which is about 5.2. And that is how much it costs to run the town. The last column, 2.7, is the town hall, the, any equipment that we purchase, any assets we purchase, anything that is paid for out of funds that we already have set aside or we've gotten grants or we're getting grants for.
Is the 375,000 part of that for the 5G poles?
Yes, all we're worried about is the 5.2, which we're at a negative 511,000, and y'all just very nicely solve that problem. Recommended a solution.
Dan, I hate to do it, but I got to run to another meeting.
Understood. Yep.
I don't want to just bolt without making this illegal.
Any other questions or comments? Do we have any public comments out there? Kate, anyone?
I have one. I just want to thank everyone here and remotely for participating in this. And, without your participation, it's a bunch of commissioners making decisions without any input from the public. So
Yeah, thank you.
So I appreciate it, what everybody's doing and all the work Sheena and Bill put in on it, and Kate.
Absolutely. I echo that. Thank you all for all that you do. Appreciate it. All right. Do
Yeah,
I
I'm
have a
excited
motion
to
to
join the
adjourn?
group, and
Oh,
sorry I was
Alice.
quiet. No, just saying, sorry I was quiet. I'm in the airport, so it's been so loud. So I've been listening carefully and taking notes, and I'll follow up and ask questions after, but I didn't
Call me later.
want to do too much. Yeah, we're good.
Good. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I got my meeting at 5.
Need a motion?
Zeke, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting today.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right,
Thank
any
you guys very
opposed?
much.
All right, thanks, Zeke. Motion to, meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.